Let's see if I can find the live stream here. 1 second. There we go. All right, happy Saturday, everyone. We're going to do a little something. I had this idea sometime last night or sometime early this morning. I woke up really early this morning, and I had this thought of like 10 things that I wish I had learned earlier about Bebop. So I wrote out, as you guys know, I like to write out stuff, and I put this in a folder. If anybody wants it, just go ahead and click the link. It's a super easy share. You just say, I want the thing, and I'll send it to you. I just have to approve of you getting it, and then you just download it right away. Now, I'm warning you, this is very messy. I am going to put this in Finale, and I'll probably add a few more things to this folder. But anyway, let's go through 10 different things on this Saturday that I wish I had known earlier about Bebop. Now, we know like our Mixolydian scale, let's say our G Mixolydian, and that has the flat 7 of the major scale, right? That's what you could use over a G13 chord, let's say. We know we can do that. And also they teach you to go up to the 9th. That's also a really important thing. Now watch what happens if I go up and I come down. If I come down from G and it goes G, F, E, D. So my chord tones that's a chord tone. The 13th is not necessarily a chord tone, but it kind of is of the G13, but it's still, you have to know where you're going after that to make it make sense. So 1 and 2 and 3, that on beat 3, that's a C, that sounds horrible. And then the A would be kind of the 9th, but we don't have those 1, 3, 5, 7 chord tones that we know we like, right? On the way up, no problem. Chord tone, chord tone, chord tone, chord tone. On the way down, and so when I was improvising back in the day, I had no idea why this sounded so bad going on the way down. And one of the things I wish I had known earlier is thinking about what things you can do to help make sure you're constantly outlining the harmony with downbeats. Okay, so one simple way you can do that, of course, is our Bebop dominant scale. So even by putting the F sharp in between the flat 7 and the major 7, you get the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, right? That gets the 5th, 3rd, and root. Okay, that's basic 101. But these 10 tips are going to be things that totally changed my thoughts of improvising over Bebop language, but also especially in the descending form. Like even, you know, when I tell you guys this is not part of the 10 things, but you know, if you play your major scale going up, all the chord tones are going to be on downbeats: 1, 3rd, 5th, 7, and 1. On the way back down, chord tone, non-chord tone. I mean, the 6 you can call a chord tone, but it's really not a super strong note of the harmony. And then that's totally not in the harmony, and that's definitely not in the harmony. So for a C chord, if you come down, it sounds really bad. So I had no idea until later on how you can go the and of adding the major Bebop scale gets you that sharp 5, so then everything lines up. Chord tone, chord tone, chord tone, chord tone, okay? So that's, and then you could do it with licks and ideas like this. Hey Doug, good morning. Good to see you. Doug, the #1 first ever member of the YouTube channel. Thank you, Doug, for your support there. All right, so let's keep rolling here. This idea, we have 10 ideas I'm going to show you, and I promise you at the end of this, it's going to totally change your mind on everything you thought about Bebop. And this is actually a loop that I put together. In addition to putting a loop together, a very messy looking loop, I made notes on every particular part of these. So I basically did a loop that demonstrates 10 different ideas. And a few of them might not be in the loop, but you'll get the idea. And Doug, I will put this in the membership area, no problem. But I also put a folder here for anybody that would like to get this PDF. Now, this is the messy version right now. I will update this. Okay, the first thing is I put #1 in this loop, and I'll just play you the loop just so you see what we're doing here. I'll do it very slowly. You're going to go. starts over. Right? And very simple, but very nice ideas within the loop. Okay, so let's talk about the first one. The first thing that I wrote is D minor, the major 7 on the offbeat to line up the chord tones. So even as I come down, watch this if I'm doing D minor from like thinking Dorian here, and I go, that's on the downbeat, 1 and 2. That's kind of on the downbeat, but that's the 6th note. That'd be like doing this kind of D minor 6. So this, and then you go to that. That's not a chord tone of D minor. That's the 9th. So we're not outlining the harmony. One thing you can do is put the major 7 with it on the end. 1 and 2. That perfectly lines it up. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Right? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So in this loop that I've created, you have this idea. Okay, and it does that. It gets you that flat 7. Awesome, Doug. I'm glad that you like the lick. No problem at all. That's good. Okay, so the second thing, and so just remember that as you're practicing even your Dorian scales, like that's C Dorian, right? And if I go, that's C Dorian, and if I put that half step in there, now it lines up. Okay? The second thing I put on here is, let's see what the second thing is. The enclosure on, the very first thing, watch this, we have this. Ba-da-da-da-da, and we get right to the 3rd of G. So this is one measure each, we go. And even in this messy thing that I did, I actually put the fingering as well for this particular thing. We go 3, 2, 1, and I think I put 4, 3. Let me see. I need to change that. Yeah, I like 4 there, and I'll show you why in just a second. Let me change this. 4, 5. So this is a little sophisticated in terms of like the fingering. I'm going to go 3, 2, 1, 4, and that lines me up for this G7 idea. Okay? All right, so let's keep going down the idea. We're going to get to number 3, but the main thing about this second idea of things I wish I had known earlier is the idea of the enclosure. The enclosure is going to surround a target note. This is your target note, the 3rd of G. And just a little fun fact, when you're talking about chord tones that you really want to highlight in your improv, doesn't matter what kind of progression you're doing, your thirds are going to be gold. So you need to learn this idea. If I'm on C and I go, right, that's an enclosure over C major, and I go ba-da-da, and then when I go to the 6th chord, I could enclose the A, the minor third, right? So it's just a really neat thing to do to get familiar with enclosing those thirds. All right, so the next part, and this is not actually a part of my 10 ideas related to bebop, but actually it is. I need to write 11. We need to write one more. I'm going to write 11 things I wish I knew. This would be the pivot. And then I'll draw a line up here to the pivot. And a pivot is simply this in its most basic form. Hey, Queen Vic, good to see you this morning. If I do a C7, and then I say, all right, I'm going to play the C, but now I pivot and I go down. So I play the C7, but then I play the C on top. I go, right? Just a super important thing. And you can do that on any note. Sounds great on the third. Like if I do, that's like a C9. That was probably a game changer for me. And I think I first learned that from Sonny Stitt. I can't remember which record it was, but Sonny Stitt and me playing the saxophone. I told you guys that I goof around in a lot of different instruments, but the one that made me really feel like I knew what I was doing is the first time I started doing this sound. Right, and I would use it in blues, like if I'm in, it doesn't matter the key, but if you go, that's a great lick on the third. And that would take you to the third of A. So if I was in C and I go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 2 and G minor. Now I'm at F 2 and 3 and 4, 2 and 3 and 4, and I go. So that idea, and that gets me to the third. And once again, remember how I said enclosing or targeting your thirds are really nice. Third, third, that kind of sound. Okay, so that makes it 11 there. But let's go back to this PDF. And I have this idea of number 3 is the fifth down to the third. Okay, let me see where I wrote that in there. Fifth, it should be up to, hold on. Let me just see here. Oh, okay. Okay, so I think I did an arrow where I didn't need to do it. Okay, so the third idea of things I wish I had known earlier is the idea of the fifth down to the third. So if I'm playing a C blues and I go down to the third, like one chord to the sixth. Let me do it again. Now watch, the fifth of C is G. Again. So ba-da-da-da-dum, ba-da. You hear that all the time. That's a generic lick that comes from the jazz language that everybody knows, and you get to know, and it's generic, yes. But I love generic licks because it teaches you a lot about bebop language in general. But this idea of ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, and you go. Right? So just remember that the fifth down to the third is a really awesome thing to do. Right? Isn't that nice? It just sets you up there. You could be walking down the harmony. And even that, enclosure on the fifth again. All right, so let's keep going. I wish I had learned that earlier. And I actually think that when I first learned that a long time ago, it was on the idea of the saxophone. I think that led me to that idea. Okay, number 4, I have enclosure on the A. So again, this loop that I've done is this. And it goes down to the flat 9. Now I want you to notice something about this loop where I go and watch the fifth down to the third is actually a part of this idea. And then it goes third, flat 9, and then it surrounds. Here's your enclosure on the fifth of D minor. So we have this. See that? So even this is demonstrating the importance of the fifth of the C major, the 1 chord, down to the third of the 6 chord, which is A. So we go. And then if you go down a minor third, you get to that flat 9, and I'm just chromatically go up to the fifth of D minor. So that's kind of nice as well. All right, so then I wrote the fifth idea I wish I learned earlier was the fifth to the major 7. And then this one, we can actually, okay, this is nice. Guys, this is really good. Again, if you want this PDF, I am going to put it in the membership area, but I also will send it to anybody who wants it. Not a big deal. In fact, I'll open my email with what I've been doing. And if somebody needs the PDF, just let me know. It's messy, I'm telling you, but it will be updated, and it has tons of cool information. Okay, here's the next thing: is the fifth up to. It's basically showing you on a D minor. I could go 5, and then I could go to the lead. It's like a leading tone, a half step away from the D minor. I could go. Okay, so even in this loop, I do D minor to G. And notice that when I got to the G, I put another half step in between there. So even though I'm on a D minor, if I put that C sharp in there, it gives me a half step. And then I went to here, which is the 5th of G. And then I once again did the half step there. So I'm putting a major 7 in that G, and I lead up to that G right there. Okay? So let's play the loop again so far, what we have. Watch the half step. Okay? The next thing we have here, well, let's look at number 6, is the 5th up to the major 7. I think we just said that. So the 5th up to the major 7. That was number 6. Oh, and it says the G7 leading tone of the offbeat. Leading tone F sharps. Yeah, so I literally hit the G7, but then I put the F sharp in there. And isn't that nice to know that you could take a 2-5, like D minor to G7 to C, and I could go 5th of D minor. Now let me take it to the next level of not even looking at the loop now. Let's say if we did this as a great exercise, we go. Now watch this 5th down. Okay, so all I'm doing there is thinking flat 9 there, but watch this. Yeah, isn't that so nice? Very, very simple there. Yeah, it's easy to play, but the main important thing of all of that is it's an exercise to keep you playing chord tones on downbeats, right? It's not an exact science that you always have to make sure you play your chord tones on downbeats. There are a lot of times where I don't even worry about stuff like that. Well. Hey, Marla, the resident superstar of iMusicAcademy. So Marla, I will put this in the all access thing, but I am also anybody who wants this. Anybody who wants this PDF can just click the link in the description. I think I put it in the chat as well. It will go in there, but if you want quick access to it, just click the link and I'll approve it real quick. But Marla, this right here, I'm so glad that you're here for so many reasons, Marla, but one of those is this is a great exercise for you to take these concepts. I'm going to go over them again since Marla's in the building, but before I do, let's keep going through these. But even this, Marla, I want you to get this idea that if I'm on a D minor and I'm doing 2, 5, 1 in the key of C, I can start on the 5th note. And I go 5, and I'm going up the Dorian scale, but I need that C sharp, and that helps me line it up. So I went 2 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord. Right? And then I went there, and I can go flat 9 if we want. Even that is a great example right there. I go 2, 5, 1. So right there, what a nice little loop within a loop. And I'm going D minor, G7, C, and I just did one of the tips that I love is 5 down to the 3rd. And then if you go down a minor 3rd again, you get the flat 9 of A7. So 2 chord, 5 chord, 1 chord, flat 9. Isn't that a nice little loop, right? And imagine if you put that in different keys, right? All right, let's keep going down because you're going to absolutely love these tips that I'm about to continue to give you. So the next one, I have to be able to read my own handwriting. I say D minor, use the flat 6 on the offbeat. Okay, so this is kind of important as well. Is if I do D minor and I start on, if I start on the root, D minor, and we're thinking D Dorian right now, and I go, so I go, so think just D minor, and I go, that's chord tone, half step, chord tone. Actually, let's do it all over D minor. Again. Notice how it all still lined up. It lines up there. Downbeat, the 6th, 5th, minor 3rd. That's a pretty simple idea, but really important to know, right? So I could go. Okay, now we're going to play the loop in just a second again, but isn't that so nice that you could even throw in for your longer lines or D minor, you go, get that B flat in there, and then it takes you to the 5th of D minor, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, number 8 is, let's see what I wrote for number 8. Oh, this is an easy one. All right, everybody ready to have your mind blown? Like, when I first started learning scales, I did this. And I learned C all the way up to C. Well, we just said that if you don't do anything to your C major scale, on the way back down, it sounds horrible, right? So you have to end up putting this, the sharp 5 or the flat 6 in there, and it sounds great. You can do your ideas. I can play this. And all of those ideas sound fantastic. But if you play a 7-note scale, all the notes are downbeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. C, E, G, B. There's my C major 7. If I only go up 6 and I go, or if I start here, right? All the notes are downbeats. If I only go up to the 7. So notice that right there, I was just doing 7-note scales. I mean, Marla, do you see what just happened there? I went 7 down to the 3rd of A. So even this idea, so if you're playing your D minor and you're used to doing this, we wouldn't even know that you can put your major third in there as well, because it gives you the offbeat and it gets you to the G. And a little fun thing, I need to write 12 things I wish I had known. It's getting out of hand. This is just a fun thing. I'm going to write it because it's important. I'm going to write it sideways where there's still room on this one page. I'm going to write number 12 I wish I had learned is just the idea of the pentatonic, because I do C major pentatonic in this example. 1, 2, 3, 5, but of the 5 of the G. So C major 7, use G. Wait. C major 7, use G. Pentatonic. All right, so this is an easy one. It's actually kind of a part of this lick, though. It's actually a part of the lick. So maybe I did already write this. Let me see if I called it one of the thing. Well, I'm glad I said it because it is part of the lick. Okay, so number 12 is pentatonic. So watch this. We know from giant steps. I don't even want to play the pattern because I might get demonetized for that. But it's this idea. Maybe if I play it slow, it won't get recognized. Those digital patterns on like 1, 2, 3, 5 of any scale, right? So if I'm in C major, I could play C major and it's going to sound great. And as I said earlier, that for days, take the A train, I demonstrated that. I can use those notes from C major pentatonic for my improv. But also, if you use the G major pentatonic over C major, that gives you some really amazing notes. I get the 5th of C, the 6th, the major 7, and the 9 right there. Right? So even in this lick right here, or in this loop we did this. Right here, coming up. There it is, over C major. Okay, let's keep going down here. We have a few more to do. Number 8, let's see, we already said our 7-note scales. Number 10, I say minor third, D Dorian up to root of G. Yeah, that's an easy one. We already did that one. Couple more tips that I want to cover over this. Oh, I know what I was going to do. Okay, yeah. So that's actually not that one. Watch this. If I do D minor, D Dorian is D up to D, all white notes, right? But I can actually go to the minor third of D, watch this, and play Dorian. So if I I could do that if I wanted to. David Baker, I could go chord tone, 9th, and now I'm here. Right? So that's a chord tone, D minor 3rd, 5th, flat 7, 9, G. Okay, Marla says, is that because all the notes of G pentatonic are also in the key of C? Absolutely, they are. Right? All white notes there. And by doing that, let's just break it down. If you do the 5th of C major, that gives you a chord tone, even the major 7 and the 9th. And you're even adding the 6. So it's like you're using all of those ideas. That's just a part of the loop to connect things. I like it. Okay, let's keep doing the idea of D minor. Now, here's an interesting thing that I'm doing right there is just by changing the rhythm, you can do it can make it even easier to line up your chord tones. Like if I go fifth, 13, 9, or fifth, flat 9, fifth. So a couple of things that I want you to know there, when I go into quarter notes and other time things, I could just start to target notes. Like I could go flat 7, third, major 7, flat 9, flat 9, fifth, 9, fifth. And then when I played the loop, I did this. I went actually you can go bluesy, right? Okay, now what we're going to do is we'll do a quick review of all of them, and then I'm going to play the loop again and then show you exactly what you're getting out of this loop. Okay, number 11. What was number 11 that I added? Oh, the pivot. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. When I first learned about saxophone and I heard Sonny Stitt do that kind of sound, it could have been anything. It could be C7 and it was... and I put the C up here, but I specifically remember doing that kind of sound, and I thought for a second, like, that is the way I want to sound, because I'm doing things that are really outlining the harmony, and I knew I was on the harmony, in the same way that whenever I go fifth down to the third, I know I'm outlining the harmony, and even to the next level, if I go that's outlining the harmony, and I could go the first time I did that, I was like, oh, I've arrived. Or even the first time I did this. All that is an enclosure on D minor. Even the first time I did that, kind of enclosure kind of thing in the sharp, right? The sharp 5. Kind of enclosing that D minor. So things that I'm showing you right now have to do with the pivot idea. So this idea of That's like this kind of sound, but okay. And what makes that so nice is obviously turning the harmony around just a little bit. But you take this idea and you go, you start putting it into some different keys, something as simple as that. I do those kinds of exercises all the time. In fact, I've written out tons of things like where I take an example like this, right, of just like a 9, and I go, of a whole blues, I go, same exact thing. All right, let's go back to reality for a second. Oh, I know what I was going to say on the D minor. Watch this, everyone. We're going to go D minor. I can go all the way up, and I can go David Baker if I want, and get that Mixolydian. That's really important because I can start on the minor third of any Dorian scale. See what I'm doing as I go through? Let's go back to D. We know we can go D minor going up. But if I go to the third, notice how that took me right to the 5th of C. How cool is that? Now watch this. I need to talk about this for a second. This is like bonus, the bonus material of the idea. We've already talked about the flat 9, but this is kind of a fun thing that you can do. If I go from the 1 chord down to the 6 chord, right? I can always think up a half step and play diminished. We know that. Diminished chord, right? That's a fun thing to do because it gets you an A7 chord. But all you do is move your thumb up, and now you have diminished, and it creates a flat 9 sound. But what's really cool is when you do this. And I can't remember, the first time I remember doing that, I'm like, oh, that's a cool sound. It's flat 9, and I'm doing like a diminished chord. But I'm adding the root in as well. So I could do this. Okay, two other things that I put down here somewhere on this page, but so important, is the idea of if I'm in a minor key, like let's say I'm in C minor and I go D half diminished, which is this, to G, to C minor, or right? If I do this and I go, right? I did D half diminished. It's that same thing of this time I'm on the root. It's not the third, it's not the 5th down to the 3rd. I'm on the root of D minor, and I go to the 3rd of G, and then the flat 9. That's such a cool sound, and that was another thing I think I discovered on saxophone back in the day of this. If I'm doing A half diminished, it's probably, some people might like to see it there. If I go A half diminished and I go, and that's like the G harmonic minor scale, but all I do is go to the root. Let me refresh just to say, if anybody wants that PDF, you're going to have to click the link. Again, it's messy, and it's not even the updated one, but I'll update it again. And Marla, at some point, I'm going to put that in the membership area, so have no fear. I'm getting all kinds of crazy texts. Okay. Here we go. That was one thing I wanted to make sure that you know is this. If I'm in a minor key and I go. All right, let's talk about, I'm going to play the loop now and then we'll break it down per idea, because I made this whole thing as a great exercise to work on your improv over bebop ideas. This originally came from the idea that I felt like, what am I doing on the way down? Like, if I go D Dorian down, it sounds horrible. 1 and 2, there's the B, G. What is going on? None of that sounds good. So I had to figure out ways. And finally, I figured out different ways you can do. And there are a lot of different ways you can go chromatically down to get it to line up. Here's one: the major 7, downbeat, 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 the flat 6. And there's so many different ways to do it. You can go 7-note scales. I don't want to give you too many, but just know that these are great ideas. And even the idea of on the way up, if I go, putting that. So there I went and put 2 different half steps in. Isn't that nice? And the other thing, I know what it was. I'm always thinking of the one other thing I wanted to remind you guys. There are tunes like Billy's Bounce, and people play it a lot of different ways, but one way you can play that is, if you go to the 3 chord, the E minor, and you go, it gets you that idea of starting on the 5th and arpeggiating an E minor triad, the 3rd note. So if you're doing 1, 6, 2, 5, and go 3. Again, you can go. 2, 5. Here we go. And the idea of practicing that, E minor 7, gets you down to the 3rd of A, and then up to the flat 9. Okay, so let's go ahead and break this down. So the loop starts on D, and you go 2, 5. It's basically 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2 times. So watch this. There's your half step, and your enclosure of the 3rd, and the pivot. And now it's the 5th down to the 3rd. Flat 9, enclosure on the A. Half step, pentatonic. A triad. Chromatic. Let's play the loop again. That's not it. All right, now your last practice tip, and then we'll go for now, is this. When you're learning these, learn it in sections. Like maybe, Marla, maybe your first idea is to say, all right, I'm going to try this one. I'm going to go, right? I go D minor, and then do the enclosure. And get to see, what a great idea. And I could go. And maybe it's that. So if you get from the 1 chord to the 6 chord, I'll put those together. Now maybe I'm going to practice this. And I'm talking about time goes by and then you want to go, all right, D minor, I'm going to start on the 5th. Again. Again. And then maybe I do this. There's my pentatonic, right? And that's 2, 5, 1 of C. And then there's the 6th chord. Even that. All right, let me play the loop about 3 more times. One more. All right, and the last tip is this. Practice everything really slowly like this. right, guys, I will clean up this PDF. I hope that at least gives you something to work on. There's 12 or 13 ideas of what I wish I had learned about the bebop scale and bebop in general. Like, I used to play going down the scale, it'd be like this. And what you need to remember is that you got to get those half steps in the right places for D minor, pivots, enclosures, and you still have your blues. Yeah, awesome. Glad you like it, Doug. And remember, yeah, we're not even talking about the blues. Remember, like we come from a blues community here, right? And like I'm always thinking about the blues. All right, so Marla, I hope you have a great day. Queen Vic, I hope you have an amazing day. Doug, good to see you on as well. And I think that covers everybody. I hope you guys have had an awesome time. Have fun with these PDFs, and I'll see you in the next video.